Hadith number 293. Not this one. And this one. Abu Mas'ud al-Ansari, may Allah be pleased with him, said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, before your time, a man was called to account, and the only good found with him was that he was a rich man and used to mix with people. He ordered his servants to those who couldn't pay him back on time. The translation is not correct. He ordered his servants to overlook those who couldn't pay him back on time. To overlook, and to pardon, to postpone and delay. So you may add this into your notes. I don't know if the book is like this. Okay. So the notes are from me, probably just to show that I'm a human being. Subhanallah, I'm not perfect. That's good. That's good. I need a few corrections like this. So this was his only good character or trait in him, that he used to lend people money. He used to deal in transactions, selling and buying in credit, but he would not insist on his workers that they ask for the money to be given back on time. If the man is poor, he says, postpone and delay. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, we are more entitled to do that than he was, so Allah forgave him. What do we learn from this hadith? The virtue of being kind to people. Allah will treat you in the same fashion and more. If you're kind, if you forgive, if you delay people as ordered in chapter 2 in the end, Allah tells you, if you lend someone money and he has no means of paying you back, delay him. Wait until he is capable. The people nowadays are quite the opposite. I give you money. I sell you on credit. And I give you a deadline. You don't meet the deadline, I take you to the police and throw you in jail. And this is all over. I don't know about here. In Saudi Arabia, this is all over. I'll take you to court, even if the man is truly and sincerely in debt. I don't care. I'll take you from your wife. I'll take you from your children. I'll throw you in jail 6 years, 10 years until you repay me. Is this Islam? If the man has money and is delaying paying me back, though he has the means to, yes. But if the man is totally broke, what is best? For him to stay back out and try to make something and pay you, or throw him in jail until he rots and Allah knows when he can pay you back? Therefore, it is how you treat people that Allah will treat you in the same fashion. And this hadith is authentic, it's in the Sahih. Allah forgives those who forgive others. And the issue of debt is a very long issue that unfortunately I don't think we have time for because of the time restraints. Do you imagine if I tell you, give 10,000 ringgits in charity? A lot or little? A lot of money. You can do this without any problem. How? The Prophet said, ﷺ, in an authentic hadith, whatever you lend twice, Allah will record this as charity once. Someone comes to me, Sheikh, give me 10,000 ringgits. Here you go, for 1 month. After 1 month, he returns it. Another one says, I need 10,000 for 1 month. Here you go. He returns it. Allah will register it, 5,000, 5,000 in my hasanat charity. And the money, where? Is in my pocket. Not only this, the Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, if you lend someone money and you put a deadline, and the deadline is due, and he apologizes and says, I don't have money, give me another deadline, and you give him another deadline, Allah would double the amount you have given as charity. So the first deadline, this is half of it charity. The second deadline is the other half. Not only that, the Prophet says, if the second deadline is due and he says, I don't have money, every single day a charity is recorded to you the same amount. You mean that the 10,000 ringgits, after 2 deadlines are over, I get 10,000 charity? Yes. Now, each day is a 10,000 by itself. So he's late for 10 days. This is 100,000 ringgits given in charity. While the money is still with him. A month, a year, every day you are waiting and patient, Allah gives you this in charity. So, would you give money in debt? Of course. I have people in Saudi, and I was shocked. A brother came to me in the masjid, and he's an expat. He's from Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. I love you. I love your lectures. Okay, that's good. He said, Sheikh, this is 30,000 riyals, approximately 35,000 ringgits. I said, for me? He said, no. Okay. What is it for? He said, Sheikh, this is to be kept with you for lending people money. I just wanted to recirculate. So I give this brother 10,000. I take a paper for 1 year. After 1 year, he brings it back to me. I give it again to a third person, a fourth, a 10th. And the guy is sitting home. His 35,000 is being invested in solving people problems. And it's coming back. It's no charity. But he's being rewarded how much? Now the amount has been with my wife. It's not me. I give her the money because she's taking care of all the charity. I don't deal with financial stuff. And she has nothing. She said, I don't have anything except my children. And my children, half of them or more are married. I have nothing to do. I'm old. I know. Tell me about it. Anyhow, she says, I have nothing to do. She has this briefcase with envelopes, with money. This is for so-and-so. This is for the Chadian poor woman who has this and this. This is for the orphans. And she collects money and distributes it. And I hate this. It's so much responsibility. And she loves to do this. So I give her the envelope and she keeps on keeping record, giving this person 5,000, 10,000, calling them, getting it back again and give it to. So imagine this Pakistani brother who's sitting in the comfort of his home, sleeping, and the meter is ticking. MashaAllah, he's getting money, getting reward from Allah because he doesn't want anyone to know about this. Between you and Sheikh, me and Sheikh, don't tell anyone. No one knows him, of course, except me. But, subhanAllah, there are people who are doing this. So the issue of debts and credits to others is something that beyond your imagination, and you will get rewarded for that, insha'Allah. Hadith number 400. Is it? No, 300, huh? Yeah. Hadith number 300. In the chapter, the one who is secure in his property. This hadith is very, very beautiful. And it summarizes our life. If we have belief. The Prophet ﷺ says, whoever is secure in his property, This is number one, being secure in your property. Healthy in his body. This is number two. And has his food for the day. It is, why is this doing this? It is as if he owns the entire world. What is this? This hadith is what opens our eyes to the reality of our life. So many of us think that happiness is interpreted in the car you drive, in your bank account, in how successful your children are, or how healthy, in how beautiful your spouse is, or handsome. But this is not true and happy life. The Prophet says, whoever is secure in his property, those who are secure in their property, raise your hands. You all have to raise your hands. Who's under fire here? Who's in wars? All of you in Malaysia, alhamdulillah. You're secure, right? You go to your bed. Nobody's outside with a Kalashnikov, AK-47, waiting to kill you, to shoot you. Nobody's wanting to rob your money. You're secure in your property, alhamdulillah. Healthy in your body. Healthy ones, raise your hands. Alhamdulillah. We walk, we talk, we eat, we sleep. We are healthy. MashaAllah. We have everything. Then the Prophet says, and has his food for the entire year, the entire month, the entire week, the food of today. Why? Because I don't know if I'm going to live for tomorrow or not. So if I have the food of today, I'm secure, I am healthy, what else do I need? The Prophet says, whoever has these three things, then it is as if he owns the entire world. Not the country, not the city, not the continent, the whole world. All of us actually possess the whole world in our hands. But it is the heart that is sick. Some of us, it is the heart that is totally dead. When we're not grateful to Allah, when we fail to see the good we have. I tweeted some time ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, something that I read and I felt profound while reading it. Before you raise your hands to ask Allah for what you do not have, look down and be grateful at the things you have. How many good things do we have? Subhanallah. What do you want more? No, I need this, I need that, I need this. Your needs never seem to end. Yet your gratitude is zero. So many things you have, and you're not grateful to Allah Azza wa Jal. Before you ask for something you don't have, show your gratitude to the things, the millions of things that you have. If we succeed in implementing this hadith, wallah, we will be really and truly content and happy. Hadith 411. And this is on page 275. Is it? Or 276? And the chapter is hatred. A'udhu billah. So, Abu Hurairah said that the Prophet ﷺ said, the doors of paradise are opened on Monday and Thursday. What does it mean to say that the doors are opened on Thursdays and Mondays? It means that on these days, Allah would admit in his records more than the other days. In another hadith, authentic in the Sahih, the Prophet was asked, O Prophet of Allah, you often fast Mondays and Thursdays. Why do you do this? The Prophet said, my records and the records of all the Muslims and the people are displayed to Allah on Mondays and Thursdays. So I would like for my good deeds to be displayed while I am fasting. So these beautiful 2 days, Mondays and Thursdays, true Muslims often fast them. Every week, Sheikh? Every week. These are what? 8 days a week? 8 days a month? Multiplied by 11, this is almost 88 days a year. Almost 3 months. Muslims fast other than Ramadan, these Mondays and Thursdays. Is it mandatory, Sheikh? No, I don't need it. This is wrong. You want to enter Jannah with the Prophet ﷺ, you have to try your level best to do this. But Sheikh, it's difficult. Is it difficult? Is it difficult to fast? It is difficult when you don't fast. But once you get it in the system, Mondays and Thursdays, it is as sweet as it can be. Ah, Sheikh, I have to have my coffee. No hints. I'm not hinting. I'm just saying. They're saying, not me. So, Sheikh, I need to have my coffee. I cannot tolerate. Yahi, how do you fast Ramadan? The first day of Ramadan, 2 days of Ramadan are difficult. And then, I wish all the year was Ramadan. Seriously, most of the Muslims say this. When it comes to the 30th of Ramadan, they feel depressed. Why? Tomorrow is Eid. We're going to eat. Fasting is beautiful. After 5 days of eating, I don't want to fast until next Ramadan. Once you get this into your system, fasting Mondays and Thursday is a beautiful sunnah that would get you closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, closer to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in paradise, and it would cleanse your system. I know brothers who play sports, who go to the gym, who play tennis in the afternoon while fasting for 2 hours. No problem. And they are in their 60s. My brothers, they do this. And they feel normal. No dehydration? No. After half an hour, we shower, we break our fast, we drink our water, khalas, good as gold. So it's not a problem. The problem is in here. Once you get this in the system, the gates of paradise will be opened for you. So the Prophet said, the doors of paradise are opened on Mondays and Thursdays. Every servant who does not associate anything with Allah is forgiven, except for him who sustains odds between himself and another. It is except the one who has enmity or dispute or hatred. Those, Allah Azza wa Jal delay them. Allah Azza wa Jal says, keep them out until they reconcile. And this is something to do with what? With the hearts. Because the word is ash-shahna. Shahna is like stress or tension. So if I have a tension between me and my brother, this may not show, but it's in the heart. It would lead to seeing my brother and giving him my back. Why? Because I don't want to speak to him. There is something between us. So the Prophet ﷺ tells us that Allah says, leave them. I don't want to see their records book. I don't want to approve their good deeds until they reconcile. How many of you have problems with brothers? How many sisters have problems with sisters? The biggest problem is when brothers have problems with sisters. I get emails from sisters saying, I have a relationship with a brother. and now he doesn't talk to me. How can I reconcile with him? May Allah curse Iblis. Why do you want to reconcile with him? So I love him, Sheikh. Sheikh, love me, Allah Azza wa Jal. What do I say? People have their Islamic thinking distorted and crooked. Yani they think that it's okay to have a relationship with an non-mahram. Only on, Sheikh, can I take him as a friend on Facebook? Can I send him Twitter tweets and emails and blog? What is this? So the problem is with the same gender. We're not talking about the opposite gender. And always consider this when you come to the hadith of the Prophet. Don't misinterpret it. The Prophet says, smiling in the face of your Muslim brother is a charity. He says, brother. So the sisters would not meet me on the corridor and says, this is a charity, Sheikh. Smile. What are you talking about? There has to be a barrier between men and women. Don't mix things together. The Prophet is addressing the same gender. So you reconcile with your brother. The sisters reconcile with their sisters. Now, what is the ruling on not speaking to one another? Same gender, of course. The Prophet said, it is not permissible for a man to abandon or to cut off his brother more than 3 days. And it shows you that Allah Azza wa Jal considers our human nature. You might do something that offends me. This is natural for me to become angry. It is not natural to expect me to tolerate all your abuse and your shortcomings. So Allah gives us a buffer zone, gives us a way to vent our anger, and that should not exceed more than 3 days. You do something wrong to me, I can boycott you, not speak to you for 3 days. After the 3 days, it's over. You have to reconcile. How? You have to give salam. This is the minimal requirement. If I see you the first day, it's okay for me to see you and just give you my back. I don't want to see you. I don't want to give you salam. Second day, no problem. Third day, no problem. After 72 hours, if I see you, if I give you my back or you give me your back, then both of us are sinful. Allah will not look into our good deeds unless we reconcile. And the minimum of reconciliation that is accepted is when you give salam. The best of us who initiates salam. So I hate your guts for what you had done. But when I see you say Assalamu alaikum, you say Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh alif. Khalas, I did the minimal requirement. We're still Muslims. Not that we have to, hang out together. No, khalas. The minimum is salam and replying to the salam. Now, with the exception, is it permissible for me to boycott a brother who is sinful? We have a big chapter in Islamic fiqh that deals with boycotting those who are sinful. And some of our brothers expand this so much to the extent that maybe you find people not giving me salam. Why? Sheikh Asim is not Salafi. By whose standards? By standards of our allama or our samaha or so and so. Okay, so I cannot give you salam. I should boycott you and shun you for the sake of Allah. What did I do? So no, you're not Salafi. So, I'm a Muslim. No, we have to stay away from you. We have to do... This is not permissible. Though the concept itself is founded in Islam, when someone is an innovator or an openly sinful person, it is permissible to boycott him, to abandon him, providing that this is beneficial. So Islam deals with the scale. If I do this, the benefits outweigh the disadvantages, or the opposite. Whatever overweighs, Islam tells you, okay. For example, my brother is an innovator or is an openly sinful person. So I decide to advise him. He doesn't listen. I boycott him. He doesn't enter my house. I don't speak to him until he comes back to the straight path. There are two choices. Either he will feel remorseful, repent, and come back, alhamdulillah, then the benefits are more. Or he would say, the hell with you. There are so many bad, influential people who are taking me in. And instead of doing alcohol, now I will begin to do drugs. So now the shortcomings and disadvantages way more. So you have to be smart and always weigh the consequences in every decision you make. Everything you make in Islam, look at the consequences. Oh, this is something bad. I have to speak out. Speaking out and forbidding evil is a good deed. But if I see someone with half a bottle of vodka empty, his eyes are red, he's totally wasted and drunk, and has a 9mm in his hand ready to fire, and his figure itchy, it's like this, and I say, Akhi, ittaqillah, fear Allah, this will take you to hell. What you are doing is a sin and a major sin. And I know he's going to shoot me in the eyes. Then I am crazy. Simple as that. The disadvantages outweigh. Don't do it. Islam tells you, measure the consequences. Don't be hasty. Don't rush into things without thinking of what will cause. So, you should know whether to boycott someone or to talk to them and reconcile with them. And in reconciliation, it is always best to do. Hadith 442. On page 297. Okay, this deals with extravagance in spending and property. I think we will postpone it to later, and we will begin our Q&A. Okay, inshallah. And if you don't have Q&A, we continue, no problem. If there are questions, then khalas.
Okay, Bismillah. Brothers and sisters, obviously our time is limited, so you can refer to the sheet below here. There's a phone number 013-333-9500 at the bottom of the sheet, and whatever questions that you have relating to the subject of discussion, please SMS or WhatsApp to the number, inshallah. Okay, Sheikh, first question. Regarding the hadith where Aisha radiallahu anha has no food but some dates and did not cook for over 2 months, did any of the Sahaba knew about her condition, and if they did anything about it?
Okay. First of all, do you mind if I answer you sitting down? Do you mind, yes, or you do? Oh, okay. I'm going to continue to sit down both ways, but this is out of courtesy. See, my good character is, mashallah, overwhelming. I'm learning a lot, alhamdulillah. First of all, the hadith goes through the seerah in very different stages. Before the 7th year of Hijrah, there was extreme poverty among all the companions. On the 7th year of Hijrah, Allah opened the city of Khaybar to the Muslims, and everybody became rich. So these hadiths that show us where poverty was prevailing are referring to the times of this. There are so many hadiths. Among them, a man comes to the Prophet ﷺ and says, "O Prophet of Allah, I don't have food and I'm a traveler." So the Prophet sends to all of his wives that give food to my guest. They all come back to him say, "We have no food." Is this possible? He said, "Yes." So the Prophet says to the companions, "Who will host my guest?" So Abu Talha, the husband of Sulaim, says, "Your guest is my guest, O Prophet of Allah." So he takes him after Isha to his house. And he says to Sulaim, "Bring us food to the guest." She says, "Wallahi, we don't have food except little for the children." He said, "We have a problem. So let the children go to sleep without eating. Do anything. Give them water, give them toys, and prepare the food, little food you have, and give it to me. Once I put it in front of the guest, turn off the lamp." So she does this, and she turns off the lamp, and they pretend to be eating. And the guest is eating, but they do not touch the food because it's not enough. After they pray Fajr, the Prophet said, alayhi salam, to that man, "Allah is admiring your deed of last night." So the companions did not have food. And there were times when the Prophet ﷺ did not have food but would not tell. We all know the hadith that the Prophet, when he died, where was his shield ﷺ? With a Jew. He pawned his shield with a Jew in return for some barley to eat. And he died with his shield with the Jew. We had Uthman, the richest man among the companions. We had Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. We had Abu Bakr. The Prophet would never ask. So many incidents we learn in the Sunnah. Abu Bakr and Umar were starving. They went to the Prophet and said, "O Prophet of Allah, we are starving," and they exposed their bellies, and they're tying to their bellies a piece of rock. Why do you tie? Is it exercise? When you are hungry, you are walking like this. Your stomach is so empty, your back is bent. So you tie your stomach with a stone or a rock so that you can walk straight. They complained to the Prophet that, ﷺ, that they don't have anything to eat, so they're starving. The Prophet unveils his stomach with 2 stones because he's more hungry than they are. So this was the norm. And the Prophet would never ever tell anyone. And the companions did not know. They used to send him food as gifts every now and then. But this was not the norm because some of them thought that he had enough. Some of them themselves, they did not have enough money, and Allah knows best.
Jazakallah khair. With regards to being dutiful to one's parents, does it extend to the in-laws? And a second follow-up question is, if one's parents passed away, can being dutiful to the parent-in-laws compensate for the parents?
This question is from a sister. I can tell by the handwriting on the SMS. This is a lie. You know that this is a lie, but I'm joking so that those asleep can wake up. Your in-laws, whether for you men or for the sisters, are not related to you. Yes? What do you mean? I'll tell you. If a sister does not meet her husband's parents until she dies, she doesn't visit them, she doesn't call them, Allah will not question her. If she sees them, she gives them salam. And if they say salamu alaikum, she says wa alaikum salam. But she never meets them. She's not sinful at all. Likewise, if I never see my mother in law or my father in law or visit them in their house, I am not sinful because Allah ordered me to connect to my next of kin, and they are my in laws, they're not my next of kin. Having said this, do not think at all I'm promoting it. Why? I'm just giving you your rights. Yet, you do not want your rights. You want the highest level possible, which is forgiveness, pardoning, being kind, tolerating, looking, to postpone people. So, if you are tolerant, if you are respectful, if you are obedient, though it is not mandatory, your father-in-law says, don't do this. It's not his right. You're not obliged to obey him. My mother-in-law says, don't go and eat out today with with my son. You don't have any control on me. You have control on your son. You have control, I'm talking to my mother-in-law, on your daughter, not on me. We have to segregate this. But being a good Muslim does not end at obligations and rights. No, it never ends. You're always kind, you're always dutiful. This is why when sisters call and say, I don't like my mother-in-law and I live with her in the same house, and my husband is refusing to take another house, he's sinful. It is your God-given right to have a separate home. Not necessarily a palace or a mansion, can be even an extension or a suite in the house, totally blocked so that you don't see them and they do not see you. One room, one kitchenette, one bathroom, this is sufficient. If he provides this is his obligation. But she says, he doesn't want to do this. What should I do? You have two options. One, which is highly recommended, you stay and be kind to him. Try to be kind to his wife, to his mother, though you hate her guts. But being kind to her makes him love you. So it's a win-win situation. And eventually, after 20, 30 years, you will become a mother-in-law. And you will be treated exactly in the same fashion. Second option, opt for divorce. But consider the consequences. Sisters are impulsive. Yes, I'll go for divorce. Wait. No, I cannot tolerate this. He's not giving me my rights. I'm not happy. I'm depressed. Ya ukhti, or my daughter, wait. Let me talk to you. If you get divorced, think rational. You have a number of scenarios. One, you live on your own. You will provide for yourself. You're a rich woman, and you have no problem in that. It's good for you. Two, you're not rich, most likely, nor have a job, most likely. And you will go back to your parents' house, and you will feel suffocating because before you were free to do whatever you want. You had only your husband and children to care of. Now your father is suffocating you. Where are you going? Who are you talking to on the phone? You're divorced now. You have to be careful. Watch out. No, you don't go out. No, you don't do this. No, you don't see people. Let them come and see you. This becomes a prison. What is the third option? There are a number of scenarios. You have to lay it all down on the table and think before you make a decision. But if you make a decision and then, oops, now we have a problem. Can you reverse it? No, you can't. So my advice is know your rights, know your obligations, and think for the best. And inshallah, this make easy. Is it sufficient to obey my parents-in-law, my father and mother-in-law, as if I'm obeying my parents? No, there is no resemblance at all. Being kind to them is a good deed, but it is not an obligation like it is with your father and mother.
Jazakallah khair. Still in the topic of in-laws. This question obviously from sister. In the other way, basically, what if a sister whose husband forbids her to see her own parents? What should she do?
First of all, one of the main rights of the husband is that his wife cannot go out from the house without his permission, and she cannot invite anyone into his house without his permission. The sister saying, "What? Who needs such a marriage?" Don't ask me. This is Islam. These rights are made and given to the man so that he governs his household. Islam focuses most on the benefit of the community, not on the individual. So the majority of men are men. No one would reject or refuse his wife to go and see his parents. Do we have any of the sisters? The men don't look, huh? We don't want divorce to happen. Any of the sisters, does your husband prevent you from going and visiting your parents? Raise your hand. Okay, alhamdulillah, we don't have any problem. When sisters are doing like this. Serious, there are. I know there are, but it's maybe 1 in 1,000 or 5,000 that would do this. They would prevent, and in 70%, they have rights. Why? Because I've touched and seen and communicated in situations where the wife goes to her parents' house, come back with shaitan, devils, jinn possessing her. And the man is complaining, "Sheikh, every time she goes and meets her mother and stays for 6-7 hours, she comes a different total person. I love her, I care for her, but her mother brainwashes her. She comes with a different face, and it takes me like 7 or 8 days until she goes back to normal. This is why I say, no more going to your parents." So would I say that he's wrong? No, he's not wrong. He has the full right to do so. Yet, maybe there's 1 in a million who's abusive. He says, "I don't want you to see your parents." This is his rights. He has no right to stop her from communicating. She can call. She can meet them elsewhere. If she sees them in the market, she will greet them. If she sees them in a wedding, in a relative's house, in an occasion, no problem. He cannot tell her not to meet them. But he has the right to tell her not to visit them. And they are not to come to his house. Because the Prophet said that one of the man's rights not to be admitted to his house without his permission. Anyone. So if we manage to do this, and the women have the power in their hands to manipulate men like dummies. You know, they have the strings in their fingers. When she talks to the man in a masculine way, he will never concede. But when she exposes her weakness and feminist side and say, "Please, honey, do this, do that," the man melts like butter in the sun. Whatever she tells him, he does it. She has to know the strategy. Sometimes the strategy is through his stomach. Make a good meal and then ask whatever you want. Approved. He has no problem. Sometimes by being kind and by not retaliating or responding to his abuse. Some men may shout, "And why did you do this?" And the woman does not speak. After half an hour, he becomes regretful. "What have I done?" So he tries to fix it up. "I'm going out. Do you want something from outside?" "No, thank you." Now she's making me feel more and more guilty. 2, 3 similar requests, and then she presents her case. Okay, no problem. He agrees. You have to know the strategy, how to come. But this requires another lecture, inshallah.
Sheikh, what is the Islamic standpoint on foster parents or step parents, assuming without suckling? And would this person have to give service to them Islamically?
طيب. You owe no obligation to your stepfather. He's the husband of your mother. He has no responsibility, obligation of obedience or anything. He's a complete stranger to you. You respect him because you love your mother. And if you think that being kind to him is being dutiful to your mother, then do this. But there are no obligations, no rights at all. He's a complete stranger. Sheikh, I've been living with him for 25 years. Same thing. Islamically, he's not your blood father. Foster father, if I understand this, is the one whose wife suckled you, right? Is this a foster father?
I don't know.
Huh?
Basically, adoption. The question is in the line of adoption.
Adoption? We don't have adoption in
Exactly.
Islam.
This is the question. So,
Okay.
Islamic standpoint.
Adoption. So if a person adopts a young child, there is no adoption in Islam. There is supporting and sponsoring an orphan, but he doesn't become your blood child. He is not called after you. I can adopt someone who is 5, 6 months old, but he doesn't become my child. I cannot give him my name. Chapter 33, Surah Al-Ahzab, in the 5, 6 beginning ayahs, it addresses this issue. The Prophet ﷺ adopted a child before Islam. The child's name was Zayd ibn Haritha. And he's the only companion named in the Quran. So Abu Bakr's name is not there. Umar, Uthman, Ali, no companion is mentioned in the Quran except Zayd. He was known Zayd ibn Muhammad until Allah revealed this ayah, called them after their parents. So his name was changed into Zayd ibn Haritha. Haritha was his father. So there is no adoption in Islam, which means this man, may Allah reward him, took me in his house. He took care of me until I became a grown-up man. Am I obliged to obey him like a father? No. But if you don't respect him and give him his due respect, you're not a real Muslim. Taking care of you for so many years, and all what he gets is foul language and mistreatment. What kind of a Muslim are you? If a dog is kind to you, you have to be kind to a dog. What about this man who took you in and gave you his food and shared his home with you? But as an obligation of cutting the kinship, etc., no, it doesn't fall under this category. It falls under the category of being kind to those who are kind to you.
Jazakallah. This question is from a revert. She embraced Islam. How does she maintain the ties of kinship to her families who are non-Muslims, and obviously there are non-Islamic celebrations involved as well? What are your words of advice for the sister?
Right. First of all, there's no coffee. Don't dream of coffee. Bismillah. When you come into Islam, your life is transformed. Islam means submission. You submit yourself to Allah. Whatever Allah tells you, you do. Whatever Allah prohibits you, refrain. Understood? Understood. Having said that, Muslims in general and reverts in particular have a problem. This problem is easily illustrated in the following example. My life is a photograph. Islam is a frame. My problem is that the frame is smaller than the photograph. A real Muslim puts the frame, which is Islam, on the photograph and cuts the edges so that the frame fits exactly on the picture. This is a real Muslim. Our problem as Muslims that the picture is too big and I'm not willing to compromise. Islam is good, yes, but in here, no, my life, no, I cannot cut here, no, sorry, don't touch this. What to do? Okay, bring duct tape and break the edges of the frame and try to put it here and there until it can accommodate the picture. But how would the frame look? Very bad. So, in short, for you, sister, as a revert, your compass is Islam. It tells you where is your North Pole, where is the East and West, where is the South. And you have to live accordingly. So, I'm a Muslim, I'm proud. I call my mom, I visit her, I send her gifts. Any celebration that is related to their religion, I'm out of it. Okay, we have Thanksgiving, can you come and eat? No. We have Halloween, can you give trick and treats? No. We have Christmas on our doorsteps. Can we put a tree, lights, and you come and visit? No. New Year? No. Easter? No. Allah? Nothing. Because it's a different religion. Mother's Day, Father's Day, all not Islamic. Stay away. And these days are 10, 15 days a year. You have the rest of the year to show your obedience, respect, love. Go out of your way. Make the line clear to them. I do not cross the line of Islam. Being dutiful to those who are mahram to you, your father, your siblings, your uncles, but you don't deal with your male cousins. They are not related to you. So, business as usual. No, it's not as usual. It's a little bit extra. You have to have the edge. Because before, you were not a Muslim. You call, you don't call. Everybody does this. Now you are a Muslim, you have to cross the extra mile. So you have to add so much strength and power into getting closer to them, portraying to them that this is Islam. They abuse you. They will attack you. They will talk negative to you. Big smile, one ear it comes in, one ear it comes out. No harm done. This is how a Muslim should be. Even with parents, when they are saying bad things to you, big smile as if they're not talking. Think of something else. Think of my lecture. So your father is nagging and you do this, you do... Not lawfully. He's abusing you. Your mother is doing the same. Think of my lecture. Think of my, a joke. Yes, I will try my level best. Don't let it stagnate in your heart. Let it go. You feel better and you will feel safe, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. With regards to Hadith 411, does it apply to a non-Muslim enmity towards a non-Muslim, a kafir? Or is it specifically for the believers? And follow-up to that is, what are the guidelines for us to have socialize and have non-Muslims as friends?
This needs a lecture.
Okay.
But in a nutshell, this hadith deals only with Muslims because their deeds will be displayed to Allah Azza wa Jal. A non-Muslim doesn't have this luxury because as long as he's non-Muslim, he has nothing. Allah says in the Quran, وَقَدِمْنَا إِلَى مَا عَمِلُوا مِنْ عَمَلٍ فَجَعَلْنَاهُ هَبَاءً مَنْثُورًا. And we come to whatever deeds they have done, and we shall make it as scattered dust. The non-Muslims, nothing is accepted from them on the Day of Judgment. Whatever benefits and favors from Allah they get here in compensation to their good deeds. We see a kafir doing good deeds. We see a kafir holding a blind mind, You see a kafir holding a blind man's hand crossing the road. This is a good deed. This was his dinner tonight. Allah gives him a dinner in return for his good deeds. All the goods they find is in compensation for their good deeds. Once they die, khalas. Because Allah created this world for a test. And you will live 70 years, 90 years, and then it's death. Eternity heaven or eternity hell. And all of those living on earth say that we are the right one. As Muslims, we know that we are the right one. So we have to sit with the non-Muslims and convince them that this is the right religion. It's very easy to convince, no problem. 5 minutes and they're convinced. It's logical. But in order for you to understand these hadiths, the enmity is and the hatred that is prohibited is between a Muslim and another Muslim. This does not mean that we encourage people to have hatred and enmity and being stressful and tense with non-Muslims for no apparent reason. Allah Azza wa Jal in Surah Al-Mumtahina tells us that there is no problem in having good relationship and affection to the non-Muslims who do not fight us and who do not take us out of our lands. Now, the question is, can we befriend with them? Depending what do you mean by befriending them. If it means that he's my colleague in school or in the office, and I go and drink coffee, which I don't have, and I say, "You would like some coffee?" On the way, he says, "Yes, please." I say, "Jazakallah khair," and I bring him a coffee. This is okay. There's no problem in that. This is not befriending. The prohibited befriending in Islam is to take him close allies, to hang out with him, to share with him my secrets and my feelings, and to prefer him over the others. This is not permissible in Islam. But to have good relationship with non-Muslims, no problem at all. The Prophet ﷺ had a servant who was Jew in his home, and there was no problem. So you don't know more than the Prophet ﷺ, do you?
Jazakallah khair. With regards to a sister who has 3 elder brothers, they're all married. So she's unmarried and she has a choice between getting married or taking care of her old parents. What will be her priority?
To get married. See, the responsibility does not depend on you, sister, to take care of your parents. You have 3 siblings. So it is shared. This is wrong to think that, oh, my 3 brothers are married and they have their own life. I have to sacrifice my own life. No. This is communal obligation. Not only that, financially, it is 6 to 1. 2, and your share as a sister is 1. So there are 6 shares they have to provide financially and 1 share from your side. So even if you get married, the 4 of you must provide service to your parents if they're crippled, they're too old, they cannot take care of themselves. Yes, it becomes responsibility of all 4, 3 brothers and sisters. And if they cannot do this physically, because she's married and they're married, then not at least of hiring someone, a man and his wife, to take care of them, to serve them, to provide for them. But to sacrifice your life, not to get married, maybe postpone it 5 or 7 or 10 years until they all die, and then you end up with no wife. Sorry, let me rephrase that. After a long day, I tend to make mistakes. I do not promote gay marriage. So don't quote this. After 5 or 10 years, the sister is 35 or 40 years of age. The demand and supply applies here. Who will come and propose to her or marry her? Very difficult. No. Islam doesn't tell you to destroy your life, kill yourself for your parents. It's good, but it's not your only responsibility. There are 3 boys who are also obliged to take care. If you get someone proposing, get married and pray to Allah that your husband gives you, inshallah, the opportunity to serve them.
This brother married a revert, and she has a child from a previous marriage. They're obviously both Muslims, but the child is basically non-Muslim. below the age of puberty, is he allowed to force the child to convert to Islam or practice Islam?
لا إكراه في
Oh,
الدين.
okay.
There's no compulsion on religion. You cannot force anyone to become. Now, the scholars say that when a child is born, he follows the best of the two religions. What do we mean by that? The father is a Muslim, the mother is a Jew. The best of the two religions is what? Islam. A father is Christian and the mother is Jew. The best of two religions is Christianity. So by default, if he marries this revert and she has a child who did not reach the age of puberty, it is the responsibility of the mother to upbring him as a Muslim, because by default he should be a Muslim. The problem is if you live in a non-Muslim country. If he's in Saudi Arabia, he's Muslim for sure. He cannot do anything else. He is Muslim. Where will he go? He is Muslim. But the problem is if you're on a non-Muslim country where they have the issue of freedom of religion, etc., and everyone else, the brothers are doing this as if we're in the Eskimo. Now steam coming out. The problem is when you go out. I know this because I come from Saudi Arabia with temperatures of 54 outside Celsius. In cold weather, if you go out and you see the humidity and the heat, immediately you'll catch cold. And we're used to it. Our bodies are used to it. Air conditioning, extreme oven, and off and on, in the house, in the car, in the gym. So we're used to it. You guys, I don't know how will you reciprocate, but may Allah make it easy. So I hope this answers your question.
Okay. No, my questions, by the way. Sheikh, with regards to a person who loan money to someone, is he or she obligated to know where that money is being spent and what happens when that person refuses to pay after a certain period of time? What is the Islamic approach?
If you're the FBI or the CIA or the KGB, yes. When someone wants a loan from you, you say, where do you want to use it in? Why? How much you're going to spend? Can I see your feasibility study? But if you're a normal Muslim and you trust the brother, no. This is not of your concern. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, min husni islam al-mar tarkuhu ma la ya'nih. A sign of how good your Islam is that you do not engage in something that does not concern you. It's not of your business. Akhi, I want 1,000 ringgit. Why? Why? It's not your business. You give me or don't give me. So he's entitled to give you without any questions. When returning the money, if he does not return it, you may demand that he gives you the money, but you may not investigate where did you spend it, why did you spend it. This is not your business.
Is it a sin to eat a lot? And is it considered bad in Islam to be fat?
To eat what? No, first one I understood. The second one?
To eat a lot.
To eat, same thing. Is it a sin to eat a lot?
You can eat a lot but not be fat at the same time.
To be fat. To be fat is not within your reach. No one says, oh, I'd like to become fat. Nobody does this. It is something that Allah created some people with. It can be a result of overeating, but it can also be a result of the hormones and your genes, not what you wear, your genes, in your blood. This is in Allah's hand. Now, overeating is prohibited. And the Prophet ﷺ, and this was authenticated by Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar in Sahih al-Bukhari, a man burped in the presence of the Prophet ﷺ. You know, burping. So the Prophet said, restrain and keep away your burping, because the longer people are full in this dunya are the longest in hunger on the Day of Judgment. The more you eat, the longer you will be hungry on the Day of Judgment. And this is pretty scary. The Prophet ﷺ said in an authentic hadith, it is sufficient for a believer to eat a handful of morsels. That would straighten up his back, meaning that it would not make you starve. And then the Prophet said, if you must eat, if someone says, oh, Prophet of Allah, a few morsels, at least we have a Subway like this, not half. No complaints, I'm full, Tara, by the way. So the Prophet, he says, if you must eat, then consider 1/3 for your food, 1/3 for your drink, and 1/3 for your breathing, for air. Who does this? I've seen shuyukh, scholars, eat like beasts. Akhi, leave some meat for us. The whole sheep, you're eating it. And the Sheikh is eating. MashaAllah, la quwwata illa billah. And I tell him, Sheikh, the Prophet says 1/3 for your food, 1/3 for your drink, 1/3 for your breathing. He said, I know my third. Maybe he has auxiliary tanks. Allahu A'lam. So, yes, eating a lot is against the Sunnah, unless it helps you worship Allah. How is that? Sufyan al-Thawri, one of the great scholars of Islam. His name is well known. He used to eat like a beast. Yani he used to eat a lot. And his companions used to describe him in this. But after he eats and take the sweets and mashallah, he says to himself and to those around him, feed the slave, then make him work. And he spends the rest of the night praying. Tahajjud. Now this is different. The guy is using what he's eating to what? To worship Allah Azza wa Jal. Unlike us, when we eat, we have siesta, then we have fiesta, then we have all night long everything. Nothing is for Allah. Eating a lot makes you thick in the mind. A lot of the scholars would not eat a lot. They say it affects your memory, it affects your intelligence, and it's a waste of time. When you go through how they used to live, wallahi, you feel so little. Some of them would only eat cake because he can dip it in water and does not need to swallow, to chew it like meat and vegetables, so that he would not be deterred from reading a lot of the hadiths and the books and compile. They eat anything just not to feel starved. We, mashallah, what is the topping? What is the dressing? Do we can pickles? Do put this, put that? And after we eat, I need a drink to digest. Why did you eat in the first place? Eat little. So I hope this addresses it.
With regards to the sister knowing that her father earns haram income and he gives her maintenance from father to daughter, what does she have to do? And follow up to that question, if a person knows that their father earns a haram income, what happens to the inheritance, the money that they inherit?
This is $100 bill. I had it for 2 years. I'm trying to exchange it. I don't get the chance, but it's becoming high in value. If I earn this from haram, do I have to burn it? Does it become haram, this 100 bill? No. The value is haram. This 100 bill, if it fell on the ground and somebody took it, they can buy Quran with it. If I give it to someone, it becomes halal to him. It's haram to me. I'll give you another example in the authentic sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ came home and he found a plate of food. So, mashallah, now you're cold, huh? I don't feel my limbs now, khalas. I think my nose is gonna fall. Do the eye, but we can ice skate here, no problem. Alhamdulillah. So, the Prophet came home hungry, saw the food. He said, bring the food to me. I want to eat. So Mother Aisha said, O Prophet of Allah, this was given as a charity, sadaqah, to the slave woman Barira. You know Barira? She's the one who was a slave and Aisha bought her and set her free. A long story short. So someone gave this as sadaqah. Now, does the Prophet eat sadaqah? It's haram. Barira brought it to the house of the Prophet ﷺ as a what? As a gift. So Aisha said, Oh Prophet of Allah, don't touch it. It's a charity given to Barira. He said, I know. It's a charity given to Barira, which is a gift to us. The food is the same food. Now, if the food was given charity to the Prophet, would he have eaten from it? Why? Because it's haram for him. Due to the change of direction, it became halal. If, you sisters, your father's income is haram, he works in a bank, whatever he provides for you is halal for you. Because the earning is haram for him, but it is his responsibility and obligation to provide for you, so it becomes halal to you. Then there's no problem. If he dies, you inherit the money, there is no problem. Unless, Sheikh, why do you have to spoil it? Because this is knowledge. We have to be clear in giving fatwa. The earning is divided into two types. Earning that is haram in the ways being earned, and earnings that are haram in their self. Oh, Sheikh, this is too complicated. It's too late now and we're getting sleep. Can you make it easier? Don't worry. This is why I'm here. Earning that is haram due to the means of earning it, such as riba. I give you 1,000, you give me 1,100. This is riba. I sell televisions that can be used mainly in haram. I sell things that can be so and so. The earning itself is haram through the process, but the actual money is halal. The other, which is haram in itself, if I steal your mobile phone. So if your father deals in stolen mobile phones and he gives you a mobile phone, what's the ruling? The item itself is haram. You cannot possess it. Oh, but he earned it. No, he did not earn it. He stole it. Likewise, your father is a drug dealer. Selling drugs can no way be halal. It's not a mixed income. It's completely, totally prohibited. So this income itself, the whole thing, even if he gives it to you, it's haram. You cannot inherit it. You cannot utilize it. So I hope this answers you.
Jazakallah khair. With regards to earning halal income, can you explain how to differentiate between working in a company that is haram, their business is haram, and a company that their business is halal, but there is a bit of haram in how they operate? For example, interest or free mixing or so on and so forth.
Okay. Life is difficult. I think I'm going to use this to cover up a little bit. This is embarrassing. The company line of work is important in deciding whether the income of the person working for it is halal or haram. It can be totally haram, it can be partially haram, and it can be halal. Halal company, such as a dairy product company. They sell milk, cheese, butter. Any problem? Does it intoxicate you? No, it's halal. The cows are halal. Are they married legally? Excuse me. Who cares? I'm just doing this. So it's halal product, no problem. What is the financing? The financing is in-house. No loans, no riba, nothing. Khalas. Your work there, as a driver, as an accountant, because there's no riba, as a production manager, as a laborer, as a cow, is halal. No problem. We come to the far right, a haram company that produces movies and music. Nothing is halal at all, totally haram. Or a financial institution that deals with riba. So a bank. 90% of the bank's earning comes from riba. It's not that I'm giving you a bank account and that's it. They have a treasury department. They lend short time and long time loans with percentage from 0.5 into 20 or 15, depending on the time and the duration and the amount. So the majority of the income is totally haram. A tobacco company. Oh, Sheikh, we have cigarettes, low tar and nicotine. It's all haram. So whether you're a driver, whether you're an accountant, whether you are a cook in the cafeteria, the whole thing is haram. You're not allowed to come close to it. We have something in between. This is the gray area. The gray area is the product is halal. We sell pens. We sell stationaries. All halal. The problem is with financing. So as a company, I don't have money. So I have to go to the bank and get a loan, interest-based. This is a gray area. Scholars say that if the financing is less than 1/3, so it's less than 33%, it's halal for you. Because my job is to manufacture pens. I have nothing to do with haram income. It's the owner job to do this. They say, and this is something of ijtihad, there's no black and white in this. This is what scholars come up with. They say if it's more than 1/3 the financing, then it becomes similar to a bank, an institution. It's best for you to leave working there, and Allah knows best.
Exactly here. With regards to a person, just follow up to that. With regards to a person who works in a bank and then wants to basically leave that job, but obviously he cannot do it overnight. He has family, he has children. What would you advise this person?
Resign.
Okay.
See, the issue is, do you trust Allah or not? Yes, sure. Is Allah your provider or your company? No, Allah is my provider. Then resign. But Sheikh, what do you mean, but Sheikh? We have a problem. If you're convinced that it is haram, resign. Who will feed the children? Allah. What happens if you die? Who will feed the children? Who? Allah Azza wa Jal. As long as you know that this is haram, resign and quit. What should I do with the money, Sheikh? The end of service indemnity, if I leave. The bonuses, if I resign. They give me money. If you just came to know that this is haram, the previous savings and money you have is halal for you. No problem. Take it and enjoy it. Because Allah does not hold you accountable until you know. Before knowledge, you have no problem. Once you know, it becomes haram that you have to look into how to segregate it, and Allah knows best.
Exactly. With regards to the father has access or can take the wealth from the son, can he ask the son to take his wealth and basically give it to his other children or other sons?
I answered this, but you were not here. Maybe you're busy
I was
getting me
getting
the
you
coffee.
Sheikh.
Yes.
So,
So I said that when a father asks for the son's wealth to be given part of it to one of his siblings, the son is not obliged to do this, and it is prohibited for the father to ask for it. Why? Because this would cause enmity. I work, I collect money, and my father gives it to my punk brother who doesn't work, who doesn't do anything. This is unfair. Of course, if you have a lot of money, by default, you should not leave your brothers needing money. You should just throw it to them and give them a good life.
Sheikh, As a father, how would you advise another father on who he should look for or what he should look for in a person who he will give his daughter to marry someday?
This is very difficult because
You have 13 tries.
it is difficult to look for a good spouse to your daughter. And the opposite. It's difficult to look for a good spouse to your son. Because it is like watermelon. You get a watermelon, you open it, it's white. You get another one, you open it, it's red and sweet. It's the same thing here. Now, with boys, it might be easier. Why? Because the boy will get married. If the girl is not good, he divorces her and marry again and again and again. The supply is far greater than the demand. So many around them. With women, it's difficult because they're fragile. They are breakable. So if you give your daughter to someone who does not fear Allah Azza wa Jal, or you don't do your due diligence in investigating and exerting all the effort you can just to be safe, but again, you cannot guarantee this, then you have a problem. Because once she is divorced, to get married again is not an easy task unless she is with qualities that people hunt after. And if she had these qualities, she would not have been divorced to begin with. So, unfortunately, the supply and demand is difficult. What to look? I personally would always look for someone who is practicing. But again, this depends on the level of practicing of my daughter. So if my daughter is not that practicing, I would not choose an imam of a masjid. Because she may not be able to live with that standard and difference of practicing. He has to be kind, not impulsive, not the type of person who gets angry. He has to be generous, not necessarily at all rich. I gave 1, 2, 3 of my daughters to people whose salaries were below 5,000 riyals. Barely enough, which is not a lot in Saudi standard. But because they're, mashallah, righteous, practicing, knowledgeable, kind, I've asked around in their neighborhood, in that workplace, in education-wise, their teachers. The first thing I would ask, how many times do they fight with people, make problems? And all was positive. No, they're nice-hearted, they don't fight, they don't curse. Now, this is a very big, important characteristic in a Muslim. More, to me, important than having a long beard. Because sometimes you have a person who looks practicing like myself, long beard, short thobe, miswak in my pocket. And I think, this guy is the best of Muslims. I will accept him. But having the worst of character. I don't want to give my daughter to someone like this who prays night prayer and abuses her and curses her and says bad things to her. No, I don't want my daughter to be married. I'd rather her marrying someone praying on time, not that committed, not that knowledgeable, but gives her a happy life. Of course, if I combine the two, mashallah, it's a win-win situation. But they are as rare as red mercury to find people practicing and with good character and being committed to the sunnah. Very rare. But you will find them if you look, and the topic takes too much time, so let's move on.
Sheikh, can you briefly explain what does the word manhaj mean and how does
The
it
what?
manhaj, and how does it differ with madhab?
Manhaj is a new terminology used by what we call the neo-Salafi or the super Salafi or the extreme Salafi. Who are they? They are our brothers. They share the same aqidah. They follow the same fiqh books. They appreciate the same Sheikh bin Baz, bin Uthaymeen, al-Albani. Unfortunately, in the 90s, they went a little bit to the far extreme to counter-attack the brothers who went a little bit to the left, and they started clashing. In number, they are decreasing until you barely can see them. They focus on aqidah, which is good, but to the extent that they may fall into what is known as irja. So they think that following the ruler is tawheed. Oof. Now they turn off the air conditioning, huh? Because they want us to leave. No problem. I'm not leaving until I get warm. So they think that obeying the ruler is the utmost important thing in life after tawheed. This is not right. Obeying the ruler, respecting the ruler is part of a religion, but not to that extreme. And they believe that they have 4 or 5 allama, they call them, the well-established scholars. 4 or 5 of them. That's it. And they criticize heavily all the other scholars, all the other du'ats, and try to tarnish their reputation in saying bad things about them so that people would not listen or follow or learn from them, only to learn from their 4 or 5 allamas. They came up with an issue because they found that our aqidah is the same, the way we pray is the same, the fiqh we follow is the same. So what is the difference? You have the manhaj. Manhaj. Even from America, they call manhaj. What is manhaj? It is nothing called as manhaj in the Quran or in the Sunnah. He said, yes, but the Salaf say you have to follow the methodology, the manhaj. What is this manhaj? I know only aqidah. This is all what I know. He said, no, not everyone who follows the Salafi aqidah is on the manhaj. So now they brought this description to segregate between the ummah. So whenever you have someone who's Salafi, calling for the Quran, authentic Sunnah, excellent aqidah, they say, I think his manhaj is not good. You think? Okay, can I have something in writing? What is the manhaj? He said, no, this is something you may not detect. It has to be something you feel. Oh, subhanallah. They tarnish people's aqidah and reputation because it doesn't follow their manhaj. Therefore, my advice to you, do not consider this what they call manhaj. As long as you have a firm, strict aqidah, you're following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, don't listen to anyone. Follow the scholars, great scholars of Islam, Sheikh bin Baz, bin Uthaymeen, Sheikh al-Albani, in whatever they say according to the sunnah, not to follow them blindly. They're human beings. They have mistakes and shortcomings as well. So my way, my aqidah, my religion states that I have to follow the Quran and the Sunnah with the understanding and the comprehension of the Salaf, of the companions, of the Tabi'een, of the Tabi'it Tabi'een. I'm okay. They're sitting, they're not leaving.
Because they're afraid of you. Sheikh, last question. With regards to if a person has 1,000 ringgits, for example, is it better for this person to loan it or give it as charity, sadaqah?
Of course, lending it is better. Sorry, let me rephrase. I think we have to leave. I'm making mistakes. Usually I don't make mistakes that easy. Of course, giving it as a charity is better. Because at charity, you have no interest, no strings attached. In lending, you are looking to get the money back and reinvest it again and again. Giving it one go, Allah Azza wa Jal multiplies it up to 700. Giving it in a loan, it will be 10,000 for 5,000. 10,000 for 10,000. but not to be multiplied up to 700, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best.
Jazakumullah khair, Sheikh. Okay, guys, Alhamdulillah. So that concludes day one.